You really think you belong here? My father scoffed, swirling his scotch. My brother leaned over, voice just loud enough. She smells like a chicken coop. I smiled, calm, silent. They had no clue. 4 years ago, I left Charleston in shame. The dropout who abandoned pre-law to raise free-range poultry. My name vanished from family texts, group chats, even the Christmas letter. But tonight? They'd waited 6 weeks for this reservation. No idea the trendy, farm-to-table spot they were bragging about online belonged to me. Then the manager walked over, smooth and direct. "Welcome back, Miss Emery. Your usual is ready." Dad nearly dropped his glass. That moment changed everything. And I'd earned it. I used to be Emery Blake, 29 now, the second child, the weird one. In our South Carolina family, success meant corporate titles, country club events, and prestigious internships. My older brother, Connor, Ivy League, Wall Street. My little sister, Taylor, perfect hair, perfect grades, Miss Clemson finalist. And me? I loved chickens. Not as pets, not ironically. At 12, I could explain feed conversion ratios and spot signs of heat stress. While my siblings learned golf swings and Greek life lingo, I studied permaculture and pasture rotation. Weekends were spent cleaning coops, candle testing eggs, and designing portable tractors. Once, Mom said I smelled feral. At 15, I told them I wanted to build an ethical egg empire. Clean, humane, scalable. Dad didn't look up from his paper. "That's not ambition. That's a barnyard fantasy." Connor laughed. "Call it Clucktopia." I stayed quiet, but inside I was already designing the brand, the land plan, the supplier chain. You saying they called it quitting when I left college. I called it hatching a legacy. No more invites, no birthday messages, not even a text when my grandfather passed. I wasn't surprised. In the Blake family, love had always come with fine print, and I'd broken the terms. I drained my savings, leased 4 acres in central Vermont, and moved into a rusted trailer. My boots were thrifted, my hands calloused. The chickens were the only ones who listened. But for once, my life felt honest. Even on 16-hour days, knee-deep in slush, even on the nights I cried from exhaustion and isolation, I never wished I'd stayed in law school, because I believed something they never did, that work rooted in purpose could build something lasting. It began with 30 hens, most rescued from a shut-down facility, feathers patchy, eyes dim. I built coops out of scavenged lumber, insulated them with old blankets, and slept near the brooder through the freezing nights. Every dollar went to organic feed and vet bills. Rest was rare. Locals called me the chicken girl, mostly with a smirk. Even nearby farmers rolled their eyes. Pastured hens? Cute idea. Until the hawks show up. They weren't wrong. I made rookie mistakes. Lost money, lost birds. But I kept going. I recorded everything. Every muddy misstep, every golden sunrise cracking through fog. And one morning, out of sheer frustration, I filmed myself plating breakfast. Fresh eggs, skillet potatoes, and rosemary biscuits with pan-seared chicken sausage. I posted it with a caption, "What if food told the truth?" Then forgot about it. 3 days later, 2 million views. Comments poured in. "Where can I taste this? Do you sell it? This looks like home." First came a food blogger, then a regional reporter, then the email I never saw coming, a Boston investor group. They'd seen enough, and they wanted in. I didn't know how to write a pitch deck, but I knew how to make people feel welcome. So I invited the investors to dinner, right on the farm. A long salvage table under string lights from the hardware store set beside the co-op. I cooked 6 courses, all with my own pasture-raised chicken. They signed the next day. That's how the Honest Hen was born. First a converted barn with 10 tables, later a full-fledged restaurant with a wait list stretching months. People drove for hours to eat there. Some slept in their cars overnight. It was raw, it was growing. I still opened the co-op every sunrise, hands in the feed, boots in the dirt. But when I looked at my hens, I saw legacy. Not in spite of the mess, but because of it. 9 months after that dinner, we opened the first real location, a gutted hardware store just outside Montpelier, rebuilt with help from 2 local carpenters and a couple culinary school grads who believed in real food. No fancy sign, just a cast iron hen mounted over the door. But when the hickory smoke drifted from the open kitchen, when the scent of garlic herb roast and cornmeal fried thighs reached the gravel lot, they came. With lawn chairs, with stories, with 3-hour patience and word-of-mouth loyalty. I built the menu from what I lived. Herb-stuffed roast chicken, golden schmaltz potatoes, buttermilk biscuits with honey butter and pan gravy. Every ingredient sourced with care. No shortcuts, no lies. The food media noticed. Bon Appetit called it the most honest plate in New England. A New York Times piece dubbed me the chicken whisperer. Then came the expansion offers. Most were all wrong, until I met Gloria Sandoval, a self-made bakery mogul. And she said, let's scale this, no sellout. We did. Austin, a restored train station, 6-month wait list. Even my parents called it real dining. And I just smiled. If you've been rooting for Emery's rise from mud to legacy, don't forget to subscribe. The next chapter is when her family finally walks through the doors of her restaurant, without knowing who owns it. I'd been invited to speak on sustainability panels, farm-to-table summits, even asked to keynote a culinary tech conference. But I still refused to put my face on the website. This wasn't about me. I didn't need applause, especially not theirs. My family still hadn't called. They probably assumed I was selling eggs off a roadside cooler. They didn't realize their friends were tagging my restaurant in their foodie selfies. Then the email came, from my sister. Dinner reservation confirmed. Can't wait to celebrate the engagement with the family at the Honest Hen. I froze. They'd waited nearly 6 weeks for that table. And now they were walking straight into my world. The reservation was for Saturday, 7:30 p.m. table for 7, sent by Taylor Blake. Yes, that Taylor. She even added, you better show up, Emery. You owe Mom at least that much. I read it 3 times. They had no idea. Our flagship Boston location booked out 8 weeks in advance. Taylor must have pulled every favor she had, or begged. Either way, one thing was clear. They didn't know who owned it. My face was never in a single press piece. I'd been deliberate, no hometown, no family ties, no interviews with personal details. The Honest Hen stood on its own. And now, it was about to stand right in front of them. I thought about canceling, a fake plumbing issue, staff illness, anything. But I didn't. Not out of spite, not even pride. Just peace. I wasn't the girl they left off the holiday card. I wasn't the chicken coop dropout anymore. I was the woman who built this house. And if they were going to see me again, it would be here, on my terms. I replied 2 hours later. Confirmed. I arrived 10 minutes early, through the front door this time. Not in muddy overalls or flour-dusted sleeves. I wore a simple denim dress, leather boots still kissed by pasture dust, and a faded corduroy jacket, the same one a hen had once pecked a hole through. I didn't hide the scent of smoke and hay that lingered in the fabric. I wasn't here to perform. The hostess gave a soft smile as I entered. Miss Emery, she said almost in a whisper. Please seat me last, I murmured. Just like anyone else. She nodded. From the hallway, I could already hear my mother's sharp tone, my father reading the wine list like a sermon, and Taylor's theatrical laugh echoing off the brick. I lingered near the service station, unseen until the hostess gave the cue. Then I walked in. The table hushed, just for a breath, as every gaze flicked to me. Then my father chuckled. You really think you belong here? He muttered, shaking his head. I smiled. Good evening. Taylor leaned toward Mom and whispered just loud enough. She smells like a chicken coop. I sat at the only empty chair. My boots thudded softly on the floorboards. My hands were clean, though the nails weren't polished. My hair was brushed, but still carried the wave of barn air. You look like me. You could have at least tried, Mom muttered behind her flute. This is my version of formal, I said calmly, pouring water. Dad smirked. Hope you brought your wallet. This place isn't cheap. No one asked how I'd been. No one said they missed me. To them, I was still the dropout who chose dirt over degrees. And yet, they had waited nearly 6 weeks for this table. From my table. The appetizers were cleared. Roasted rosemary wings, maple brined thigh flatbread. They critiqued every bite. And that's when Marcus arrived. Marcus, our general manager, always polished, calm, and precise, approached with the quiet confidence of someone who knew exactly what this moment meant. He held a leather folio in one hand, posture straight, voice smooth. "Excuse me," he said, eyes worn but professional. "Is there a Miss Emery Blake at this table?" My father's brow furrowed. "Why?" he asked sharply. "Is there a problem?" Marcus turned to me, bypassing the question. Then he smiled. "Welcome back, Miss Emery. Your usual table is ready in the side dining room." He glanced toward the kitchen. "Would you like the investor's wine list now or after your walkthrough?" Silence. Taylor's laugh caught in her throat. My mother's hand hovered, frozen over her napkin. My father coughed, wine catching mid-sip as he reached for his handkerchief. I'm sorry, what?" he sputtered. Marcus addressed the table, steady as ever. "Miss Blake typically dines privately when visiting the flagship. Her table is prepared." I shook my head gently. "No need. This table is perfect." They all stared. Taylor blinked. "You work here?" I smiled. "Not exactly." "You know the manager?" my mom asked. "I trained him." My father leaned forward, disbelief all over his face. "Wait, are you assistant manager? Sous chef?" "No, Dad." I folded my hands. "I own this restaurant. I built it. I designed every dish on the menu you've been critiquing." Silence again. "This is yours?" Taylor muttered. "I thought it was one of those trendy farm-to-table chains." My father scoffed, almost hopeful. "She's joking." Marcus cleared his throat. "Sir, Miss Blake is the founder and executive chef of the Honest Hen Restaurant Group. This flagship location is our heart." My mother echoed, stunned. "Group?" I nodded. 7 locations, all built from the land you once called a chicken yard fantasy. Taylor whispered, "You lied. You made us think you failed." I looked at her. "No, I let you think what you wanted." "You assumed I was failing," I said. "But why?" My mother blinked rapidly. "Why wouldn't you tell us?" I looked around the table at the people who once decided I was only lovable if I played by their rules. "Because I wanted to see who you were when you thought I had nothing," I replied. "Now I know." Marcus, still standing nearby, cleared his throat. "Chef Miranda would like your feedback on the rosemary brine, Miss Blake, before we finalize the spring menu." I stood, smoothing my jacket. "I'll be back shortly," I said. "Enjoy the entree. Tonight's special is braised chicken with stone-ground polenta, my signature." I turned and walked away, leaving them in stunned silence. When I returned 15 minutes later, they hadn't moved. Their plates sat untouched, still steaming. The air around them had shifted, no longer smug or dismissive, but uncertain. Taylor looked up first. "So, it's all true?" I nodded. My father sat stiffly, like he was trying to rewrite the last decade in his head. "You built this?" he asked quietly. "Yes," I said, "from scratch, from the chickens you mocked." My mother adjusted her pearl necklace, her tell when caught off guard. "But the money, the expansion, how?" "I worked 3 jobs," I said, "lived in a trailer, cooked over a camping stove for 2 years. I saved, I pitched, I fought for every inch of this." Taylor crossed her arms. "You could have called. You didn't have to cut us out." I raised a brow. "You cut me off when I said I wanted to farm." "You were struggling," Mom said, voice defensive. "No," I said, "you were ashamed." I paused, letting the silence stretch. "Funny," I added, "you waited 6 weeks for a table at a place you once laughed at." Taylor flushed. "That comment, I didn't mean it." "You did," I said gently. "And that's okay," I said quietly, "because it reminded me who I used to be, to you, and who I'll never be again." My father cleared his throat, trying to regain his footing. What matters now is this achievement. Emery, you've built something extraordinary. I think we all want to acknowledge that. I don't need acknowledgement, I replied. I need respect. Not the kind that comes after a magazine feature or a booked table. The kind that doesn't disappear when the spotlight does. A pause followed. Then Taylor spoke. So what now? You cut ties? Let this be the last dinner? I studied her face. No, I said at last. But from now on, everything changes. They went still again. If we're going to have a relationship, it will be on my terms. No more jabs about coops, no surprise at what I wear or what I earn. And no investment offers. No invitations to galas so you can parade the farm girl who made it. I'm not your showpiece. My father nodded stiffly. We understand. I'm not finished. They blinked. I continued, calm and certain. I'm proud of what I've built, but prouder I didn't break myself into a version you'd accept. I paused. I'm here not because I need your validation, but because I finally don't. Taylor exhaled. That's fair. And, I added, if you want, I can host the rehearsal dinner here. My treat. Her eyes widened. You'd do that? You're still my sister, I said. But make no mistake, this is a gift, not a performance. For the first time all evening, she smiled, real and unguarded. My mother's eyes shimmered. My father looked down, perhaps ashamed. I'd like that, Taylor said. And maybe you can show me the farm? I grinned. Only if you wake up early. She laughed, and for the first time in years the table felt like home. Later, after the last cider was gone and chairs were tucked in, I stepped into the kitchen, my sanctuary. Miranda, my head chef and the backbone of this kitchen, looked up from the pass window and smirked. So, how was dinner with the Royals? I laughed. They choked on the chicken, figuratively and almost literally. She arched an eyebrow. Too much rosemary? No, I said. Too much truth. We moved on, tasting the spring menu's smoked breast for salt, adjusting char on the seared thighs. The rhythm of service steadied me, just like always. When the last apron was hung and the lights dimmed to the warm after-Huns glow, I drifted by my office and checked my phone. A message from Taylor. That was a lot, but thank you. Also, can we talk next week? I want to bring someone to the farm. No judgment, just curiosity. I smiled. Maybe she meant it, maybe she didn't. But for once, she was reaching out not to correct me, but to understand me. I typed back, sure, wear boots. I stepped outside to the back patio, our little break nook beside the herb garden I'd insisted on planting, even here in the city. Basil, thyme, chives, a reminder of where it all began. The night was quiet, not empty but earned. I sat by the rosemary bush and opened the leather notebook I saved for moments like this. Success doesn't feel like applause, it feels like stillness. Like boots on tile in a room of crystal and not caring. Like building something real and not needing their permission anymore. I closed the book and looked up. The stars were fainter than on the farm, but still there, like roots, like truth. And I knew I'd come full circle. Not because they finally saw me, but because I no longer needed them to. If my story moved you, leave a comment, not just for me, but for anyone who's ever been underestimated. Tell me what you'd say to someone chasing their version of success. And if you've ever walked away from expectations to build something honest, I want to hear it. Subscribe to follow this journey. And remember, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stay true to yourself.